I really have love-hate relationship with Fuji cameras. They have so much going on for them, but they are, for me, so frustrating to use. This is newish X-T30 Mark III, 26.1 million pixel sensor, backside illuminated, X-Trans CMOS 4, and a new X processor 5 in this camera to bring it in line with all other current Fuji cameras. And this is a beautifully designed, vintage inspired, very small camera that is feature packed. It's got a lot of things going on for it, but for me, it's very frustrating. Sometimes it's very frustrating to use. If you found this video because you want to know basically how to switch this camera from auto to manual or shutter priority, aperture priority modes, yes, I'll talk about this a little bit later, so use the chapters below to skip to that section. I love Fujifilm looks, who doesn't, but I do not like shooting JPEG. I prefer shooting RAW, and all the photos, all the samples you see in this video have been shot as RAW files with this camera and edited in Adobe Lightroom. But you can change, you can apply the film look from the camera after you have taken the photo in editing software like Luminar Neo or Adobe Lightroom. You can change the color profile from standard to one of the Fujifilm looks. So even if you decide on one and you want to change your mind later, you can do this in edit. I prefer shooting RAW because I do have also more dynamic range than JPEG, and I decide how the photo looks and how it's edited, not the camera. Before I talk about image quality and what this camera can do, I need to address the elephant in the room, the camera controls. This is a very capable camera. It can shoot RAW pictures, it can shoot 6K open gate video, a lot of video formats as well. There's a lot of photography options as well, but it seems to me like Fuji is pushing their users to shoot JPEG in fully auto. This camera has got all the settings, has got aperture priority, shutter priority, and manual modes, but they're not easily accessible. When I got this camera, it was in auto mode by default, and to put it into manual, for the first time, I had to refer to Google and the instructions manual. With most of cameras, you do have a dial, PSAM dial program, shutter priority, aperture priority, manual. Here, it's not there, so you have to, depending on the lens, you have to go in the menu to change things to put it into specific mode. It's great if you shoot auto, and a lot of people do prefer shooting in auto and don't be bothered about all this. But if you want more out of the camera and you want to learn more, then you have to use this camera differently than other cameras. Changing to one of these modes, it's a little bit easier if you do have a lens with manual aperturing. I do have a lens which comes with this camera, the 13-33 III here, so there is no aperturing on this. So to put this camera from auto into program mode, I have to actually go into the menu and change button dial on the third screen into aperture, into auto plus manual or manual mode. And then change the top shutter dial on 2.8. That gives me program. To change it to shutter priority mode, I do have to switch the aperture settings to auto and then control the shutter with the top manual shutter wheel. To change it to aperture priority mode, you change it to aperture settings manual in a menu or on the lens if you go to the aperture ring, and then you can control the aperture with the wheel, the front wheel of the camera or the ring on the lens. To have camera in fully manual mode, you have to select the manual from the aperture settings, and you have to change the manual shutter wheel to T. That's how it works for me. And then you can control the aperture and the shutter with the front and back wheels of the camera. Not obvious, not quick to change if you want to jump from one mode to the other. I've got a really bad memory. I would have to write this down somewhere for me to remember how to change quickly from manual to shutter priority. It's just too confusing. What's the most annoying, if you go to quick menu, there is actually an option to displaying current mode, but you can't change it in here. You have to go through that procedure for every of those modes to put the camera in it. In reality, this is all not a problem because if this is the only camera you have, you just basically get used to it. As I said before, this is a problem if you use other cameras. It's like driving a car, and here they have put the gas pedal in the passenger footwell. So you have to reach with your foot to accelerate to a very awkward position. Yes, it does work, but you have to relearn how things work or unlearn your habits to be able to use it to its full potential. Okay, I had my rant. Let's talk about what's really important, the image quality and usability of this camera. Obviously, what you get at the camera is hugely dependent on the lens you're using. I have used the supplied kit lens, the 13-33, which is pretty sweet because it's small, light, very portable lens. No frills kit, but very usable for day-to-day scenarios. I have used also the very good Sigma 18-55mm f2.8 and the 18-300mm Sigma, and also superb Viltrox 27mm f1.2. X-T30 Mark III performs pretty well, seemingly pretty well. The lack of stabilization, built-in stabilization, and the better improved autofocusing system let me down a little bit. The autofocus seems to be latching, tracking, working very well, but then I get a lot of misses. Don't get 100% sharp results quite often. It doesn't mean it's a bad camera. It doesn't mean it's unusable. It just means that it's slightly behind, in my opinion, to competition in this price range on the market right now. But then saying all that, I also think that maybe all that have been the controls and how the camera operates, how camera captures the images have been done on purpose. So you do have more immersive experience shooting with it. It's more like shooting with a vintage camera, which weren't perfect. You had to work for it. With this, you can get really nice, really beautiful results, but sometimes you have to work harder for it. Video of this is actually very surprising with the camera in this class. Not a lot of people talk about the capabilities of Fuji cameras when it comes to video. You get 6.2K open gate 30p mode. You also get a 4K 60 with a crop. You do get HD, obviously 120. You also get a full HD at 240 frames per second. You do get a 4:2 10-bit in MOV or MP4 formats. You also, because it's open gate, you do get a cropping, automatic cropping of a vertical video 9:16 in camera, so you record still normal, but you get the tall vertical video out of it. So you can actually record 15, 30 or 1 minute files to help you to capture social media ready files straight on the camera. When filming with it, the autofocus works pretty decent. There's no any major issues. The biggest issue with this camera for when it comes to filming with it is the lack of built-in stabilization. Usable, but more challenging. There is a digital stabilization if you really have to stabilize. It's not ideal and definitely making this camera harder to use for beginners. Overall, the video capture of this camera is good. For those more serious about filming with the camera, you do have a Fuji log, so you can grade the footage by yourself in post. You also do have a, very surprisingly, a RAW video out of a HDMI into external recorder. Very neat if you need it. And because of its size, when paired with the right small lens, seemingly perfect combo for vlogging, for filming yourself with when on the move. But the problem is the screen doesn't flip forward, so you can't see yourself if you intend to film yourself with this camera. Builds. Obviously, very small camera. I already said that. 378 gram the body battery card with no lens, but still very light combined with this lens. This is one of the smallest Fuji lenses there is. Zoom lenses anyway. You do have those dials, the controls I have talked about earlier. You do have a Fujifilm Lux dial now on top. You do have a 7 preset already. You can select 3 more available in the camera, or you can actually create your own recipes, custom looks as well, so you can call them quickly if that's what you want. You do have a very strange, to me, the manual shutter dial. Obviously, I understand they want people to feel like they're using a film camera, more vintage-like, vintage vibe going on here. But you can't control the camera with the front and back wheel like any other camera, where you can change the shutter and aperture as normal. So why would you need that wheel at all? I don't know. It's a nice looking thing, but not necessarily a must-have. You do have the 2 wheels that I mentioned just now. The front one, when you press it, you can change its functionality, so you can change it aperture with it, or when you press it, you can change ISO. You do have the auto lever, so basically you put it on and the camera is in full auto. You don't have to worry about anything. And a lot of people do want that. simplicity, and that's what you get here. There's no D-pad for navigating around the menus or whatever, so you only got a joystick, just like with other some other Fuji cameras. Obviously touch screen, very responsive, very nice. At the front you do have a continuous single and manual focusing switch for quick changes from each of those modes. Very nice, bright, clear viewfinder, kind of must have and nice to have one in the camera in this price range as well. The screen, I know a lot of people do say, the photographers especially, they prefer this kind of tilt screen than your usual flip out, but the flip out one is more versatile overall than this. Yes, it's nice because you can tilt it and shoot from the hip and all that without flipping the screen out, but if you want to film yourself, you can't see yourself because you can't turn the screen to the front of the camera to be able to see yourself. No grip, or very, very tiny little grip. Kind of okay, with this lens is okay, but when you put anything bigger or heavier, it's much more difficult to hold. Also, there's like a little thumb rest on the back of it where they put Q menu button. So when I hold the camera tighter to zoom in, zoom out, I press the Q menu every single time. It would be nice if it was next to it or somewhere on top even, easy accessible, but not in a way. The battery compartment contains one single SD card slot. The batteries are quite decent, they last decent amounts of time. Ports, there is only micro HDMI socket. It is a small camera, I don't think there'll be room for anything bigger than that. It has got a microphone in socket, which doubles as a remote socket as well for the wired remote controllers. There's no traditional headphone out socket. There is USB-C, which can be used for connecting camera to the computer. It can be used for charging, but also with a supplied little cable adapter, you can connect USB-C into the camera and you do get a headphone socket out then. There's no also dedicated photo or video mode switch. You have to go through a button, to drive button to select the video mode, and there's no dedicated video recording button either. You have to use the shutter button to stop recording video. Price, this is not the cheapest aps-c camera you can buy. Here in UK it cost £829 or $1,000 in US for body only. With this 13 to 33 millimeter kit lens, it costs £999 here in UK or $1,149 in US. There's a camera which is packed full of features. It is small, that's desirable. It's a perfect street travel camera. So the price, comparing to other cameras on the market, price-wise, it's not too bad. But there's aps-c cameras in this class, which are probably simpler to use, maybe a little bit bigger, but feeling more like a real camera. I'm talking about specifically about a Canon R10 or Nikon Z50 Mark II. Both of these are cheaper than this. Nikon actually you can buy for the same price with two lenses. I know it's a personal preference, and a Fuji has got very loyal following. A lot of people prefer the Fuji just because there's Fuji, obviously the Fujifilm looks and all that. But if it's going to be your first camera and you want to get into photography, learn, put the camera in a manual and experiment, this might not be it. If you want that simplicity, absolute simplicity, shoot in auto and JPEG, this could be actually very good for you. For me, the price is a little bit too high. This camera should be maybe a little bit cheaper than it really is. There's other options as well from Fuji, the XM5 without the viewfinder. You do have an XS20, similarly priced as well, which is probably easier to use than this, in my opinion. I have said it many times before on my channel here that there's no bad cameras. This is not a bad camera, and if it appeals to you how it looks and you do want those Fujifilm looks, the price might be okay for you. Conclusion. I do have a problem where to place this camera. Is it that camera for a total beginner who has never used mirrorless camera before, or is it a camera for a die-hard Fuji fan who want that vintage Fuji looks and fully auto mode? I don't know. Even if I ignore all the frustrating me things on this camera, it's still lacking something wow. When I compare it to all the competition for the price in 2026, I'd expect more from the camera. And I don't mean features. This camera is absolutely feature packed, but I'm expecting more from the usability of the camera. I mean, I like the camera to be more user-friendly than this. Yeah, if you ignore all that, the camera is not a bad camera. It delivers really nice experience, shooting experience, if you get used to, or you are familiar with the ecosystem, the Fuji ecosystem. The result it delivers, the Fujifilm looks are really nice. The thing is, I kind of hate it. I hate how this camera works, but I do love it at the same time. The convenience of shooting with a camera this small, the pocket-sized camera, but actually the challenge of understanding and the reward, you get the sense of achievement because you know how it works and you get really good results with it. It's actually very nice. So yeah, frustrating at first, but you can learn to like it like I did. If you're gonna buy one, do your research. Don't buy it because someone have told you that Fuji has got the best colors, that Fuji does the best photos. Buy it because it is a right camera for your needs. It's a right camera for you. It can be. Hire it, borrow it first, get a feel for it before parting with your money, and you'll be very happy with it. I recommend it. It's actually okay. Frustrating, but okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much for lasting this long. If you did, give me the thumb up, like this video, please comment, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.